From the farmers and ranchers of Farm Bureau, this is Farm Weekend. American Farm Bureau Federation President Zippy Duvall spoke to White House officials about the 40B and 45Z sustainable fuel tax credits. Chad Smith has more.
The American Farm Bureau Federation is raising concerns about the unlevel playing field currently created by the 40B and 45Z tax credits. AFBF President Zippy Duvall met with White House officials recently to relay that while America's farmers stand ready to grow the crops necessary to produce clean fuels, they need fair treatment.
The Clean Fuel Production Credit and the Sustainable Aviation Fuel Credit has the potential to be valuable incentives to produce biofuels that will help lower the nation's carbon emissions and to keep American farmers in business. Under the current model, foreign feedstocks receive preferential treatment over our domestic feedstock.
Duvall says America's farmers and ranchers need adjustments to the tax credits sooner rather than later.
The 45Z is scheduled to go into effect next year, and our farmers need to make production decisions that may affect whether or not their crop is eligible as a feedstock. So we urge Mr. Podesta and the administration to prioritize America's farmers by making domestic feedstocks the preferred supply for clean fuel production credits and to revise the guidelines to make the goal of producing biofuels more attainable.
He talks about the potential solutions that Farm Bureau is looking for with meetings like this.
Well, there should be more climate-smart agricultural practices available to qualify to grow crops that would be eligible for this credit. And we also think that the conservation requirements should be unbundled to maximize the flexibility for farmers who want to participate.
Chad Smith, Washington.
The Kansas Water Authority. More on that when we come back.
Frustrated with your current health care coverage? Kansans are saving up to 60% a month with Kansas Farm Bureau health plans. Choose from individual and family plans, short-term coverage, or dental and vision plans. It's quality coverage you can afford. Learn more and get a free quote by visiting kfbhealthplans.com or visiting a Farm Bureau Financial Services agent near you.
The Kansas Water Authority has made a virtual meeting available on demand as part of its recent local consult outreach efforts. This meeting is part of the second round of local consult meetings aimed at gathering input on strategies to implement in the 2022 Kansas Water Plan. Kansas Farm Bureau's policy supports the Kansas Water Plan and its formational process. For full details on KFB's policy, visit www.kfb.org/advocacy. Join Kansas Farm Bureau for a night in Vegas at the KFB Foundation's annual meeting fundraising event on Saturday, December 7th at the Hilton Garden Inn in Manhattan. Funds raised will go toward the Foundation's End Hunger program to address food insecurity in Kansas. For full details and to purchase your tickets, visit www.kfb.org/foundation fundraiser. Next, Insight with Greg Deering.
Hey, farmers and ranchers, just as you do ride-alongs to inspect your fields and cattle, make sure you do the same for your mental well-being. Take time to check in with yourself and your neighbors, and if you find yourself in a crisis, remember, there's immediate help available at 988. Mental health is just as vital as the health of your farm. Let's prioritize it together. This message brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau and Kansas Farmers Union.
Now, Insight with Greg Deering.
Agriculture and aviation are two of the biggest industries in Kansas, but it's been rare for commodity farmers and commercial airlines to interact as partners. Kansas Farm Bureau recently facilitated a conversation between farmers in South Central Kansas and representatives from Delta Airlines, centered largely around the recent push to produce more sustainable aviation fuel. Perhaps the biggest takeaway is there's no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to farming. Over visits with growers, airline officials were able to see firsthand just how different farms are. Many employed the same conservation-minded practices like no-till and cover crops that aim to boost soil health, but the practices were long-term investments in the land. A lower carbon footprint isn't the goal. It's merely a byproduct of good stewardship. Farmers provided their experiences on topics like raising grain sorghum, wheat planting, drought, and minimum or no-till practices. The conversation between agriculture and aviation is just getting started. It's commendable the two industries are talking, and no one is quite sure where it will lead. One thing everyone knows, the sky's the limit.
Join us next weekend for another edition of Farm Weekend from Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture.